person or even one election. It was about the country we love and about building an America that's hopeful, inclusive, and big-hearted.
Though not widespread, there is some finger-pointing going on within the Democratic Party. I spoke with a Bernie Sanders surrogate, his biographer as well, Jonathan Ticini, and he said, "We told the party Bernie movement they would not listen." He said, no, they had to anoint her. It was like an alcoholic family not willing to have an intervention. Wolf?
Brianna Keeler reporting for us. Brianna, thanks very much. I got to add, now she got more than 59 million votes yesterday, so she could say there are now more than 59, almost 60 million cracks in that glass ceiling. Let's talk a little bit more about Donald Trump's victory, what to expect in his administration. Joining us now, Congressman Adam Schiff. He's the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.
So Donald Trump says he wants to get together with Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Are Democrats ready to work with President-elect Trump right now? Are you?
I am ready to work with them, and I think Democrats are as well. I think we'll bear very much in mind what Secretary Clinton said, that we ought to go into this with an open mind. And as the president said, this is all about what's in the national good. We have to try to find a way to bridge the divide in the country. We have to find a way to grapple with some of the challenges that we have here at home and abroad. And that really requires us to work together. I think it's also going to be important as a member of the minority when the other branch, all the other branches are controlled by one party, to make sure that we vigorously protect the rights of all Americans against discrimination, to give them every opportunity to succeed, and to counter any attempt to violate either the values or the Constitution. So that will be a very important role for us in the opposition.
As you know, Congressman, he always says he knows how to negotiate. Do you see him reaching across the aisle quickly to folks like you?
I think he will. I think at heart he may be very pragmatic, and on some issues like infrastructure, he may have more of a problem with his own party than he has with Democrats. So I think he will try. I think it's going to be, frankly, fascinating to see how the GOP in Congress reacts to him, because he's at odds with them on a lot of their orthodoxy. But I certainly stand ready to see where we can find common ground. I do hope that we don't spend a lot of time trying to roll back the progress that we've made over the last 8 years. On that, I think he will find some very strong opposition. But there ought to be ways to work together to move forward, and we are going to approach this with an open mind.
Given some of the problems he's had with the Republican establishment, the leadership, and the fact that over the years, as you know, he's changed his position on a lot of sensitive issues, do you believe he's really a Republican?
I don't know what he is really. I think you're right. If you look over the years, his positions on things, even that are normally ones of great conviction, have been very malleable. So I don't think we know at all what to expect. And, I'm gravely concerned, as you know, Wolf, about his foreign policy and national security ideas. I'm terrified that the Kremlin finds his election something to applaud. That's a very disturbing prospect to me. What does that mean in terms of our NATO allies? What does it mean in terms of maintaining the pressure on Russia to get out of Ukraine, to abide by the Minsk Accords, to stop bombing civilians in Aleppo? A lot of profound questions. How much of what Donald Trump was saying was election posturing, and how much does he really believe? None of us have any way of knowing at this point.
As you know, he's vowed to diminish the U.S. commitment to NATO if the NATO allies don't pay more money. He's vowed to renegotiate NAFTA or simply get rid of it. Also wants to get rid of the Iran nuclear agreement. He says Iran, from his perspective, they will break that agreement. He really has various views that you totally disagree with in a Trump presidency. So how are you going to deal with him on those sensitive issues?
Well, I'm hoping that when he comes to understand a lot of the difficulties and complexities with what he has proposed as a candidate, he'll understand this is not so simple. The Iran nuclear agreement, for example, was an agreement that was reached not only between the United States and Iran, but many other countries as well, and has had the effect of rolling back Iran's nuclear program. So let's say we somehow annul it or say we're not going to abide by it. What does that mean when Iran then starts to turn back on its nuclear program in a mad dash to move forward. That is a pretty terrifying prospect as well. So it's easy to make these pronouncements, like his pronouncement about repealing Obamacare and replacing it. But as of this point, he's never had to say what he would replace it with. And what do you do when you essentially kick 20 million people off their health insurance plans? So again, these have made good electioneering slogans. In fact, they've made winning slogans. But whether they can be translated productively into action, I think he's going to find that's entirely of the war that is making such progress against ISIS militarily. The bigger challenge, of course, is going to be in Syria. And there, again, I have profound concerns about cozying up with the Russians and anything that preserves Assad in power, because I think as long as he is there, that terrible churning civil war is going to go on.
Speaking of the Russians, what about the role, the Russian cyber attacks? After seeing the results, do you think the Russians did, in fact, have a direct impact on the U.S. presidential election?
You know, they certainly had an impact. You know, the hacking that they did, the dumping of documents, did sow discord within the Democratic Party between some of the Clinton people and the Sanders people. So it had an impact. Did it have a dispositive impact? You know, I'll leave that to the experts to analyze and determine. But it certainly had an influence. You know, I hope that, frankly, that Mr. Trump will listen to the intelligence professionals when they talk about Russia's role in that. It was very disturbing to me that even after getting briefed, he denied Russia's complicity. That said to me that he may be willing to deny even sound intelligence and expertise when it contradicts his personal interests, and that is not a quality we want to see in a president of the United States. So he will have to be briefed. He should be briefed. He will know the dearest and closest held secrets of the country, because he will need to know them to satisfy his constitutional duty to protect the country. And we have to all hope and pray that he can maintain the sanctity of that information, but also have the good judgment to know how to rely upon that information and that expertise.
Yeah, starting today, he gets that presidential daily brief, the most sensitive national security information, the most highly classified information. He'll get it on a daily basis. One final question, Congressman, before I let you go. Who do you think the leader of the Democratic Party is right now?
Well, Nancy Pelosi is our leader in the Congress, and I think she does a fabulous job. I tell you, she is among the toughest and smartest people I've ever worked with, and I'm only sorry that she won't have another tough, smart woman in the White House to work with. But she's been an extraordinary leader for us. This was a tough election at a time when the outsiders really prevailed, and notwithstanding, I think, having a superb and really the most superbly qualified candidate for president in my lifetime, it didn't prove to be enough, at least not in terms of the Electoral College. It was enough with the popular vote. Congressman Adam Schiff of California, thanks very much. Thanks, Wolf. Just ahead, I'll get a Republican view from Congressman Chris Collins of New York. Will he be part of a Trump team? Guess what? I'll ask him when we come back.